Welcome to The Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for The Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And today is another version of App Wars, our semi-occasional, whatever you want to call it, that we do when we want to bring everybody up to date on the latest trends in apps. Our in-studio guest, Kat McClintock, is here, and she's going to take me on. She's on the iPhone side. I will be on the Droid side. Of course, we have producer extraordinaire, Mr. Jim Walsh. Jim, how you doing? That's right. We need to get some theme music for App Wars.
Yeah.
People love this show. This is probably, when I do App Wars, is probably the most talked about segment that we ever do. So,
yeah.
Which is kind of cool, actually. So it's exciting to have Kat in studio today. Kat, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine as well. So you're an iPhone aficionado, I guess you could say.
I'm an owner of an iPhone.
Okay. That works too. And I'm an owner of a Droid. I will say that I like my Droid. I like, I'm a programmer by heart, I guess, so that's why I kind of like the open source of Droid, but you're going to come back at me and say why you like the iPhone so much.
Well, there are some things you just can't get on your Droid.
That's true. I could probably say there's probably some things on my Droid that you can't get on your iPhone.
Oh, here we go.
That's right.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
That's the whole point of the show, is that we are going to find out ways that we can outdo each other. So, with that, what is your number one app that you use on your iPhone?
My number one app? Oh, same as everybody else, Facebook.
Really? That is not the same as everybody else.
Oh, come on.
I could care less about Facebook on my Droid. In fact, Jim just
as I found out the hard way.
That's right, because I do not use Facebook for messaging or anything.
I was coming in this morning and I sent you a message.
Yes.
Via Facebook.
Yes.
And you never got it.
That's right. That's because I don't
you didn't
use
look at it. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
how should I reach you? I guess I'll call you.
Well, that would be okay. I am a traditional guy that I will actually take phone calls. So
you do
that's
have
okay.
a phone number?
I do.
Okay, well, good.
I know. I'm
Do you have like a little
I'm so
dialer
old.
on that?
Yeah.
There is an app for that, as a matter of fact.
It's called a telephone.
Okay, so what's yours, Arlo?
I think mine is actually Evernote. I love Evernote. And do you have Evernote on yours?
I do.
Okay.
I like Evernote quite a lot.
I think because of all the different things that I do, I have a lot of notes, and I can't read my own handwriting, which really, really kind of messes me up sometimes because I just can't understand. So ever since Evernote came out, it has dramatically changed how I work, and I love the ability to search my old notes. So even today's show, as you can see right here, on my computer that I have up for today I do every show on Evernote, and then I can go back and search and whatever. So.
You know what surprises me about Evernote is I thought when I first installed it that it would get out of control pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That, but over time I wouldn't be able to find things anymore.
Yes.
All my notes, I wouldn't have categorized them correctly or put them in the right notebooks. But actually, yeah, I still can find things. It's a year later, and I must have hundreds of notes, and I can still find things when I look for them.
See, I thought the same thing, too. And I don't even, you can probably see on my screen here, I have like 3 or 4 categories. Not a lot of categories. And I thought the same thing. It was going to be really, really difficult to use. It is not. The search feature is fantastic. And even if you don't title the search how you're thinking, it looks for all the words that you have in all your notes. It's amazing. It really is.
So we can agree on Evernote.
Yeah, I love it. It. So okay, what's your next one? Yeah, and
right.
It doesn't have to be your favorite anymore. You can just bring up the cool stuff.
Favorite. I'll tell you one I downloaded the other day that I love the idea of, and isn't that why we download most of these? Is because we love the idea of them, and then whether they endure is something else. Zoltar.
You're not talking the guy in the movie.
I don't know. I'm
the Tom Hanks movie Big, wasn't that Zoltar?
Was it? I don't remember. It was
the machine. He put the coin in the machine.
Yeah, and it made him big.
Right. Did it make him big?
Yes. He was a kid, and then he appeared as Tom Hanks the next morning. Yes.
Okay. I probably saw that, but it was probably a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
associate Zoltar with walking down old boardwalks, in beach towns on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And there's the amusement whatever.
Yep.
And, slot machines and not slot machines, pinball machines and all these old-fashioned things. And then there's Zoltar,
Right.
who kind of moves around a little bit and then spits out your fortune on a card. Now,
That is exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened in the movie Big.
Okay.
So you actually have Zoltar. Does it actually spit out a card, or it must give you your fortune anyway?
Well, half the time he gives me the fortune.
Okay.
Half the time he doesn't do anything. I'm afraid.
It's just like the real thing then.
You're right. It's like that. You're getting the authentic experience of using very, very old technology.
So how often do you use Zoltar?
I actually, anytime I'm anxious about something, I'm like, well, what does Zoltar say about what's going to go on with my health here? Because he can tell you about your health or your job or your relationships. Yeah, Zoltar's got something to say about everything important.
I love it. That's fantastic.
What do you
Absolutely
got?
fantastic. Well, nothing as clever as Zoltar, and I'm not sure if this is actually available on iPhone, but do you have Google goggles?
No.
I didn't think so.
I don't know if it's on iPhone or not. I hadn't even thought about it. What is it?
Oh, I love goggles. And so this is goggles, yeah. As everybody can see what I'm doing here, but you hit goggles and then you scan it. And let's see here. So I'm going to just take a picture of Jim. And see how it's kind of scanning him right now? Now it's not going to come up.
It's a little spooky.
Yeah, but let's see.
Not going to make my head blow up, is it?
It's too bad that we don't have something that would be more recognizable in the studio here. But you can take a picture with it, scan it, and if it recognizes it, let's say like the Custer House south of Mandan here, okay? You can scan it, and then it'll bring up either websites or information about that image.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, or if you scan a QR code or a barcode, it'll tell you about the product, and it'll bring prices in from that. You can scan your business card with goggles, or if I gave you my business card, it'll scan it, and then it'll ask, do you want to put me in your contacts? Yes, I do.
How about the TV? We have a TV set here in the studio. Why don't you try with that?
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that's what goggles does. And there's so many different things that you can... Well, in fact, here's the last card I scanned right here.
Okay, a business card?
It's a business card, and I'm not going to mention anything, but notice how it shows the business name, the contact person, franchise information about that business. Everything is on there.
So it can discern what it's looking at. It knows that this is somebody's name, and it knows this is somebody's phone number.
Yeah,
right.
It's amazing.
How often do you use it?
All the time.
I got to get me some.
Yeah, because especially when I'm out shopping. I really like to support local businesses, and I'll always buy local. But I will scan the product or whatever to make sure I'm getting a fair price on something. So that's what I use it for. So I use it all the time for that, and for my business cards. Use it all the time for that because it goes right into my contact list. Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
Oh my gosh! And then you don't have to have business cards hanging, like fattening up your wallet, or hanging. Like I just have business cards all over my house, and I don't want to throw them out, but I don't know what to do with them. I don't know if I'll ever. I don't even remember who this person is.
I bet in the last week I scanned 1,000 business cards with this because I'm getting rid of all of them and putting them in
good
goggles.
idea.
All right, I'm getting one of those.
All right. Everybody, after the break, Kat and I will continue our app wars. So come on back.
Follow the Guru of Geek at facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or thetechranch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to welcome all of our listeners across the country and around the world who listen to us on the Blueberry Network, on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's Tech, it's here. We're also on Tuned In, and of course our own app, Radio Pup. Kat McClintock is in studio, and we are doing the occasional app wars today. Kat is on the iPhone. I am on my Droid, and Kat, you are next.
Okay, well, You were talking about Google Glass and how you use that shopping.
Google Goggles. I understand why you say Glass, though, because I do the same thing all the time. So.
Okay. I have a shopping app.
Okay.
Okay, now, for years, I've been saying somebody ought to build an app that does this. And I finally found one. I just found it this morning, so I haven't had a chance to use it, but it's what's been missing. It's called... now I've lost it. It's called Bag Reminder. And
Bag Reminder.
And what this does is when you come anywhere close to your shop, your favorite grocery store, it gives you an alert to remember to bring your bags in with you, because I always I always have my bags in the car, my canvas bags, recyclable bags, and but by the time I get into the grocery store, I don't bring them in with me, and I only remember it when I'm standing in the checkout line. Now, once in a while, I'll run out and grab a bunch and make everybody wait in line. But normally you can't, I need something to remind me to bring my bags in with me.
So there's an app called Bag Reminder.
Bag Reminder, and it will set off an alert. It will let you map out where your grocery stores are. Okay. So in case you live in a rural area where maybe that's not easy to find or easily accessible for an app, whatever. It's the reason I'm going to be a greener person from now on.
So does this actually know when you're pulling up to the grocery store then, because there's a GPS tracker in there? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. That's pretty cool. The next one I have is either AnyDo or Google Keep. Are you familiar with those?
No.
Well, it's an AnyDo list. Google Keep is kind of the same type of thing, and they're very reminiscent of Evernote. The one thing that I don't like about Evernote is it's really difficult to put a to-do list in there that you can keep track of, that you can check off the things that you've done. And I would really, that'd be the one thing that if I was going to make something, and I'm saying this now and they're probably coming out with it, but I'd love to have a to-do list built into Evernote. And you're thinking there already is one, isn't there? So, I went through it the other day and I just couldn't find it.
What is a to-do list really?
I like to be reminded of what projects I have that I'm working on.
Okay.
So, and taking that a step farther then, are you familiar with Google Now?
No.
Okay. So, and I was trying to find my notes on here, and maybe I can find it real quick. But Google Now integrates with like Google Keep. Mm-hmm. And between that and the GPS and all that other stuff, they actually will tell you when, let's say you're talking about going to the store, okay? Okay. So on your to-do list, you need to pick up milk and whatever, okay? It knows, same type of thing, when I show up at the grocery store, all of a sudden on my Google Now, on my screen on my Droid, it'll tell you to pick up milk or whatever because you're there.
That's brilliant.
It's not just about... being able to take your canvas bags in there, which I bet would probably do the same thing. You could make a to-do of that, and then it would remind you when you showed up at the store. Then
because it knows I'm at the store.
Because it knows you're at the store, right?
Okay. I think you win that one.
So, and then it goes a step farther too, because when you're traveling out of town, Google Now knows that you're traveling out of town, and let's say you like Chinese food. You can train Google Now to tell you when you're going close to a Chinese restaurant at noon. It'll tell you the next Chinese restaurant is 12.2 miles away, or where the next gas station is at. It just tells you this stuff on the screen. If you're traveling and your travel stuff was emailed to you, it'll bring up your itinerary. And it'll just bring it up when it's time to go to the airport. And that's the thing about it. Google Now has an idea about how long it takes for you to go from where you're at to the airport. So it'll chime you and say, "Hey, dude, you got to leave in 3 hours, and it takes you an hour to get to the airport if you leave right now." So it'll come up and tell you got to leave for the airport now. It's very intuitive.
It's intuitive, but is it a little bit annoying?
It's a little annoying sometimes. Then, of course...
I know I need to go to the airport. I know I'm late.
Yeah, and it just keeps, if you don't start traveling in like 3 minutes, it comes back up and says, "You really need to leave now."
I mean, how would you have felt about that today, Jim? You were a little bit late getting here.
Yeah. Your phone is now the new nag machine that you have going on, right?
I already have that in the geezer.
That's true.
Trouble is, he keeps forgetting stuff. So
anyway, there's a lot of things you can do with Google Now. That is really, really cool. And of course, you can ask Google Now questions. So on top of everything else, and I can just say, text cat, and it'll, it actually listens to voice commands and that type of thing too. So it's all kind of this inclusive thing into one really great app. So Google Now is really kind of a cool deal. So
now, was that a free one that you were?
Yeah, absolutely free.
And you think that wouldn't be available on my iPhone?
I don't know. You'll have to check it out.
Okay.
Since Google is, of course, the engine that drives Android, I'm not really sure if Google Now is available for iPhone, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Or something like it. Maybe.
Yes. I would think that Apple has something similar.
See, you just blew me out of the water, because in my mind, a to-do list is simply a list of things to do with little check boxes, which you can certainly do that in Evernote. In Evernote,
yes.
And then my iPhone came with a Notes app, and it came with a Reminders app. But I think Google's Notes is somewhat more sophisticated.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing with Google Now, is that it integrates all the other things like Google Calendar and the GPS and everything else. So that's the whole point of Google Now, is that it brings all of this information together and then kind of tries to make your life a little bit easier. Now, I'm going to say that Google Now you need to train it a little bit, because it doesn't know your preferences. It can learn. I mean, if you eat at a Chinese restaurant the last 6 days in a row, it's going to know that you like Chinese food. It's intuitive in that way. So then it'll always remind you. And sometimes you're right, it can be a little annoying that way. But there are times, especially where we live now, where it used to be 5 minutes to get across anywhere in town, it takes 15 or 20 now. And Google actually knows that, and it'll tell me that I need to leave for appointments and that type of thing at an appropriate time. So I like that.
Now I'm thinking about a great story idea about somebody who steals a phone that's trained for somebody else. Because when you talked about traveling with this thing, so you steal a phone and you leave town, and this phone continues to nag you as if you were the other person. There's a story
funny.
In there.
That's pretty hilarious. All right, enough about Google Now. Go ahead.
All right, what do I have next? This is my favorite. I think this is the most satisfying, and I don't know, the app that actually works as advertised and does everything I hoped it would do. And it's called Merlin, and it's by Cornell Lab, and it identifies birds. Okay.
Identifies what?
Birds.
Birds.
And I used to have bird watching books. I mean, I'm not a big bird watcher, but I used to have those books. Have you ever used those?
Yes.
Those books?
Absolutely.
Okay. And do they work well?
Well, by the time you look it up, the bird's gone.
Well, that's true. But then you're never really,
And you don't know.
You don't know,
yes.
Right? You kind of go, well, does this bird belong in my region? Well, maybe. Maybe I live on the edge of the region that it's identifying, whatever. What's great about Merlin is you start the bird ID. You tell it, the first thing it does is it figures out where you are.
Okay.
So it knows what birds belong where you are on this date. So it knows who's migrated up here. It's not going to tell you, some duck that's down in this, in Florida. It's not going to identify that duck as being up here.
Right.
Well, it's definitely not a monkey.
Exactly. So it figures out, you tell it where you saw the bird. You tell it what colors it was. You tell it, where you saw it, which is really important to identifying birds. Yeah. Did you see it on a fence post? Did you see it in a tree? Was it on the ground? And you tell it about the size. You tell it, again, the date. And then it tells you, a list of birds that it could possibly be. And then it asks, was this your bird? And what's important for that is that if it was your bird, now it knows that bird has shown up. And it goes into the database. And so sort of a crowdsource bird ID method going on here. So that's, and then it'll give you the song that the bird has and tell you all about it and show you what the female looks like, what the male looks like, when it's molting, whatever. It's awesome. It's a free app. And it's so cool that I sent them money even though it was free.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was such a thing. So I've always wanted, and I've always been fascinated by birds. So I think that that's a great app. Is it available just on iPhone?
I don't know.
I see.
You'll
Something that we'll have to check that out. Yes. Yeah. Very, very cool. My next one, I'm trying not to talk more about Google here. GeoBeagle.
GeoBeagle.
Do you geocache?
I always wanted to. I never got started, though.
There's a lot of geocaching programs out there, or apps or whatever. But the one that I use is GeoBeagle, and I think it runs like $10 for the app. And there's a free version, and then you get the latest and greatest out there. But you go to you can just travel anywhere, and then GeoBeagle will actually pull up a map and show you what kind of caches are around you, the levels of difficulty to get to them, and it keeps track of where you've been to. So I really like it, and I'm trying to get it up in here right now. And obviously, I'm having some internet issues. This studio, I don't know. I always have issues getting the internet in here for whatever reason. So, yeah. We got to take the aluminum foil down in the room here one of these days. Yeah. Speaking of aluminum foil, that would be nice. But yeah, I really like GeoBeagle. So what do you got next for us, Kat?
Well, I want to know what you found. What have you found of geocaching? What's the most interesting thing you've found?
Well, I do it more for the hiking, I guess. Not that I like to hike. I mean, I like to hike, not that I get out enough to exercise, but that's what it's about for me. It puts a little adventure in finding it. So that's what I like about it. So, all right, everybody, after the break, we will continue our conversation with Kat coming up with her next iPhone app. So come on back. In studio guest Kat McClintock is here, and we are doing App Wars, and Kat is next with her next iPhone app.
All right. I have. Yours are really good. I have this one called Calculator.
Okay.
Okay. We all have calculators. But this one, you just use your fingertip and write the equations with your fingertip.
Oh.
And then it figures out. It figures out what you're really trying to say.
So
usually.
even my handwriting, you think it would work with, or
no?
Okay.
But if you're not as shaky as Marlo, you can. So you want to do a square root, you want to do division.
Yeah.
And instead of hunting around for the operators, you just draw it in, and it figures out what you're trying to do, and you can write the numbers in. Square root of 30. See how, and then it just automatically.
That is very, very clever.
Nice?
Yes.
It's really nice. Yeah, so I use that, especially if I'm doing things that are complicated, or that maybe, especially if you got multiple things going on. Like I know that I want to do division and addition and multiplication, or I don't know, just several things at once. Like it's really nice for that.
So. I look at that and I think, some of the apps, including Evernote, you can actually handwrite on the screen now too, and it actually changes it to, type text or whatever. But to me, that's a little cumbersome. This, I can see writing equations or just simple math where this would be a lot quicker than trying to punch something on the calculator. That's great. Yeah. That's fantastic.
And I do use it. I should think more about it. I don't know why sometimes this is more appropriate than punching things in. I like punching things in too. And I'm fond of the iPhone calculator that just comes out of the box with the iPhone, because it has a very rich history, the calculator. Believe it or not, it looks very simple, but it is after a certain designer who worked in Germany in the 60s, he's still alive, but he was just an amazing designer. And that's what I love. That's really what I love about Apple products, period, is the legacy of design.
Sure.
That it comes up, it emerges from. So
yeah, and we could have a whole show on, and I talk about that a lot too with Apple products. That the one thing is that you always know what you're getting with Apple. With Droid, you do not. I mean, there's 50 or 100 or 200 companies that make Droids, and a lot of times you get what you pay for. With Apple, you know exactly what you're getting every time. So
right.
Yeah, so that we won't get into that right now.
No, but my profession is to write articles about mechanical engineering.
Yep.
So I write a lot for different 3D CAD companies and other companies that do software for product development. And so design comes up quite a lot, and it's very, very important to product development. And so that's when I decided I had to have an Apple product.
Sure.
I sound like an ad for Apple. I'm not. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And
I'm being an ad for Droids.
I don't have any problems with Droids. I had them for years.
And I'm the same way. I mean, I love Apple products. We have them in our office too. So, so you use Facebook a lot, I know.
Yeah. And
I try to stay away from it. Jim uses it quite a bit. One of the things that I don't like about Facebook on the phone is that it's like texting to me. I despise driving and texting and all that other issues that come up with texting while you're on the move. So that's why I just probably don't use it so much. So I've tried text-to-speech things and whatever, and I've had okay success with those. But there's a company, and I'm pointing to my screen right now, called Panorin, Panoorin, and it's panorin.com. And they just started a Kickstarter campaign. I'll put a link to this on thetechranch.com after the show. And they are a phone-in to text for Facebook. So you get a phone number to call, and I suppose a 3 or 4 digit code or whatever it is. You punch that in and post. And you tell it what to post, and in just a couple minutes it'll post it on Facebook or message too, and it'll convert via a phone call to Facebook. I think it's brilliant.
So it's a voice transcriber.
Yes, but right to your Facebook. So even if you don't have an internet connection and you needed to get a hold of somebody that you wanted to talk to on Facebook, whatever, you could actually just call it in to them, and then it would change it over to text and send it to them via Facebook. I think it's clever.
Have you used it?
I haven't used it yet. It's a Kickstarter campaign right now.
Oh, okay.
So they haven't quite launched it yet, but I think they're getting pretty close. So
have you thought about what you would invent if you could write an app?
Oh my goodness. Another whole show. I actually have invented apps. So there you go. Yes. Even for Zuvio. We have our own app for Zuvio, as a matter of fact. So but no, see, you're bringing this up because you have thought of some things, I'll bet.
Well, I thought about that shopping bag reminder.
Oh, okay.
That was the main one. And,
okay.
And then somebody
beat you to it.
Well, they didn't beat me to it. I took my time.
Sure.
I just think that it's neat that people are thinking that way now. That you have a problem, you think, well, what app would solve that?
Yep.
And it's awesome how it's been democratized. Like anybody can build an app, or can they? How
pretty
hard
much.
Was it?
It's somewhat. It depends on the level of what you're wanting to do. I mean, if you're building an app for a website that you already have, there are a lot of services out there that'll just take and pull information from your website for $20 or $50 a month or whatever, and basically create a mobile app for you. But of course,
really, it's just a web page converter, right?
That's kind of what it is. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it depends on the degree of difficulty. If you're going to start controlling cars and drones with these, which you can do. That's a little bit more sophisticated and will take a lot more work than what I was just talking about. So it just depends, and the level of cost. But yeah, I mean, an average person, if you wanted to dedicate a little time to it and learn the language, and it's no different than learning a foreign language, in my opinion. It's kind of the same skill set. You learn that language, and then you can probably build your own app. So,
cool.
So yeah. All right. You're up next here.
3D Brain.
I have no clue what this is.
I know. It's just a 3D model of a brain, and you can rotate it around, and you can, click, tap, and it will identify parts of the brain for you. And if you keep tapping, it will tell you something about that part of the brain. It'll bring up some scientific papers about what we know about that part of the brain. So. Basal ganglia. I read these things because I read about the brain sometimes, actually a lot. And, I won't get into why I'm reading about the brain a lot, but it is interesting to know the parts of the brain. And I think I bring up the 3D Brain app because it's a very nice app and it's very easy to use and very easy to understand. But it's also just amazing that you could probably do this with any kind of anatomy, and probably somebody has done this with anatomy, and it's just a great way to understand medical issues or anything else that if you're studying for school or whatever. Much easier than, remember in the old days we used to you'd go to the back page of the encyclopedia and they'd have those filmy pages.
Yes, like the transparencies.
Exactly. So this is what's replaced that.
Yeah, that's cool. We get a lot of requests why we don't, or a lot of questions why we don't video stream this program. Mm-hmm. Today we should be video streaming this program because we're showing off a lot of apps and stuff to each other, and people should be seeing it. That's very, very cool. 3D Brain. 3D Brain. Go check it out.
That was another one that was free, and I sent them money.
Sure.
Anyway, just because often these are they're not individuals who are trying to get rich. The same with the bird watching. They're universities or somebody else who's just doing it for the good of the community, and you can send a donation if you want.
Yeah. It's kind of a shareware type of deal.
Exactly. And if I use it, I'll send him a buck.
And I'm the same way too. I mean, if I like the app, I certainly will throw them a couple dollars or whatever. So let's see. My next one, and I know I asked you this in the break, if you cast with your phone, and casting that is basically projecting your phone image and usually video to a TV screen. So Google of course has Chromecast.
Well, right. I have Chromecast too, but I've never really been able to use it quite right. Does it work for you? I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I have, I've added the Chromecast app to my. Now there's one for your computer too. Mm-hmm. So I can cast an image or a video from my computer to Chromecast, and then on my phone here I also have Rcast. Yeah, I'm showing another reason why we need to be video streaming this today, but and that's for the Roku. Are you familiar with the Roku?
Yes,
okay.
yeah, right.
So the set-top box for TVs. Well, I can actually Rcast just like Chromecast to a Roku now as well. So any video or whatever that you can't bring up with those mediums, and granted, both of them support YouTube and those type of things. But there's a lot of websites and stuff out there that don't have a Roku channel or a way to easily get it to a TV screen. Well, you can just take this and just literally kind of fling it up to the TV and away you go. So
wait, okay, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. So you downloaded the app,
right?
The Cast app,
right?
This isn't Chromecast.
This is not Chromecast.
And you just press. So I want to watch. I want to watch a music video,
right?
And then.
So you'll open the app first, and then you go to that website.
Okay. So I go to YouTube.
Yeah, and then in that player, you'll see that logo or that little icon in there, and you'll tap that. And then, if you've set up your system properly, because you're in a Wi-Fi setting in your home or business, okay, and it recognizes the devices that you can cast to. So if you have a Roku on something or whatever, it says, like in my house, I have 4 different Rokus, so it'll ask me which Roku I want to cast to, and then I'll just say Roku 2, bang, onto the big screen.
Can I cast straight to my TV?
Yes. If you have an internet-connected television that has that capability,
smart
you have
TV.
to. Yes, if you have a smart TV, you probably can make that happen. So absolutely,
awesome.
Yeah, very cool. So your next one.
Oh, my next one, man.
I know we're just rolling through these things like crazy.
We are. Yep. Well, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you about the games that I play. I don't want people to know how much time I spend on those silly games. Got a lot of engineering apps here. They force effect.
See, this is really good timing because we have to go to break now, Kat. So this is going to give you a little more time to get prepared for after we come back from break. So after break, everybody, Kat will be surprising us with her next latest and greatest app. That's not a game. So come on back. Welcome back to the Tech Ranch, everybody. Kat McClintock is in studio. We are having App Wars, and our last segment here. And I always like to highlight a website of the week. And my highlight, or the website that I have this week that I want to highlight, is called Gidcell, GIDCELL.com. Nothing fantastic as far as a name or what they do, but they have a very cool cases for your phones and that type of thing. So go to Gidcell.com. They have a Galaxy S5 case that comes with a double armored ballistic case, reinforced corner bumpers, pretty cool stuff. Heavy duty screen protector, writing stylus, and cleaning. It's just kind of a little kit that you can pick up, and they're very inexpensive. And that's the other thing that I found most of these to be in that $15 to $25 range. So Gidcell.com if you want to go check out my website pick of the week. And we're going to go into our lightning round now, Kat. Yes, which means that we're not going to spend as much time on each of the apps because we have a lot of apps to get through, I think. So you're up next.
1 second every day. It's an app that records 1 second of your life every single day. You record it yourself, and then it mashes them all together. The results are haunting when you see what a year of somebody's life told in 1 second every day.
So do you pick the segment?
Yes, I just recorded you guys for my second today.
Okay. So how does that? I mean, how do you determine what second you want to record?
Boy, yeah, that's part of the art.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. 1secondaday.com, or that's the
1
app.
second every day. It's
okay.
an app.
1 second every day. Okay. Very cool. Do you use your phone as a remote control?
Yes.
We were just talking about the TV thing. Mm-hmm. I think there are a ton of universal remote controls. I won't even give out any ones that I use here, but just 2 or 3 of them, and they're fantastic. They really are. And you can get them probably for any smart TV that you buy nowadays. It comes with the regular remote with it, but odds are pretty good that if you get the app for your TV, the remote control app, you can do so much more with it. So I highly recommend people get the remote controls.
I got to ask you, how many remote controls do you have lying around your living room these days?
Way too many, and that's why I like this.
Yeah.
Because you can incorporate all of them into one universal master remote that you have with you all the time. So absolutely.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. You're up.
Okay.
You can bring a game up. It's okay.
I'm not going to bring a game up. No, day one. Day one is when I really like it. It pesters you every day. It's a lot like 1 second every day, but it pesters you every day to say something about your life. It's a diary. It's like a diary, but I just capture a picture or I capture just a couple little notes about what I did that day. It's not like journaling or anything like that, but it's so fun to go back and see a little picture and a little note about what you did that day. Again, it's like 1 second every day, but it's capturing your life.
Does it mash them all together too if you want them, or
no? It's just a calendar, and you can just go click through and see, and you can do more than one entry a day. I really like it. Cool. I like it because it pesters me every day to record something. Otherwise, I won't.
Okay. Google Hangouts. Now, you have the exact answer for this that I'm already. I love Google Hangouts because I have grandchildren who we give tablets to, and they will call me. And we will talk face to face from their Wi-Fi. They don't have a phone, but they can still call Grandpa and talk to me, which is, I think, pretty cool. And of course, you have FaceTime.
I don't use it though.
You don't use FaceTime?
No.
Really?
No, I use Skype.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you use Skype on your iPhone?
No. I use it on my laptop.
Okay.
Yeah.
That surprises me actually. So okay. And I will say, I do a lot of work stuff on Hangouts too. But that's mostly text chatting. I don't do a lot of video, but occasionally if I have to have a video conference or something, real nice app for that too. So
right. Well, probably the barrier for me is I just don't want people looking at me. Like, I work at home. I'm not likely to be wearing makeup. I'm not even likely to be wearing day clothes.
The fashionista that you are, and here you are. Yeah,
it's just funny. Like it's better if we just text.
That's too funny. You're up next.
My bank has a really cool addition to the apps, and we all do online banking. Almost all of us do online banking. You were saying that there's some security issues that you're concerned with, but it has a really cool addition, and I don't know if everybody has this now, but you can photograph a check and deposit it that way. And that's new to me. That's new to my bank, and I'm really digging that because I get little checks. Little checks that it's not, little refund from somebody, a little rebate. Do you want to take that $2 check and march it down to the bank, or you just save it in a pile with all the other little checks?
Right.
And it's just like you just snap a picture of it, deposit it, and
all right. I will say that is actually a very cool use of an app. Yeah.
Especially for people like us who I don't think you have a day job where you're in the same job all day long and you get a regular pay. Do you? Or am I asking the wrong question? I thought you have several busises going on.
Yes.
So we have you just have like a diversity of ways that money comes in,
right.
and just snap a picture and it gets taken care of. Because even my clients sometimes will be like, well, didn't I pay you? How come you haven't deposited that check?
Right.
And it's like, I didn't want to go to the bank.
Yeah, I guess that is actually pretty clever. I never really thought about it. I mean, I know that technology's been around for a while, but I've just, I don't think my bank actually uses it yet. I shouldn't say that, though, because I just, like I said, I have some security issues with that. But that actually is probably an okay thing to do. I think that would be secure. So
it's the reason I downloaded the app at all.
Sure.
Before that, I wouldn't have. I just do online banking from my computer. So, okay, you next.
Well, I have a couple of photo apps, and I'm just going to combine them into one because we're running short on time. One is called Lapsit Pro and time-lapse photography.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And you can get Lapsit, L-A-P-S-E, and that's just entry-level lapse photography that you can put on. Lapsit Pro allows you to do literally hours and hours and hours of time. The challenge that you have with using your phone for lapse photography, it does a great job, by the way, but the power requirements, you got to figure out a way to make sure it's got extra power. And of course, you want to have it secured because if you're going to do something with clouds going over someplace or whatever like that, you're going to be giving up your phone for a substantial amount of time. You know, it's because to do a decent time lapse of a day in the life of a city, you literally have to have the phone be taking a photo every second or every 3 seconds or however you have it set up to do that, and it's not going to be moving. So you have to think that through a little bit, and maybe a tablet's a better choice because maybe you can get that up better than a phone. But anyway,
and you got to hope a marmot doesn't come along and wreck your shot.
Yeah.
Do you know that video? The marmot, they had like a nice time. They were working on a nice time lapse out in the mountains, and a marmot comes up and just messes up the whole thing.
Unreal.
Starts licking the camera.
Hey,
So
what's a marmot?
Go back to sleep, geezer. The other one I use is a lightning camera. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but what you do is it actually takes kind of, like when it's lightning outside. Have you ever tried to photograph lightning?
No.
Try it sometime.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult because by the time the lightning strike happens and you hit that shutter, it's gone. So it's very, very difficult to do. So the lightning camera, what it does is it actually captures video stills. Okay, and then when you tap the capture button, it gives you like the last 15 stills that it took, last second or a second and a half, and you can go back and you can say, I want that one, and that one, and it is so cool.
That's the trick.
It really is the trick. So now there are sensors on some cameras that you can use too, and I believe the iPhone has one that you can get. In fact, I know it does. That will trip when it sees the lightning. So you can't push it fast enough, but the computer in your phone can trigger fast enough, so it sees it and will take a photo too. But I love the lightning camera. So you're up next.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to talk about how much solitaire I play on my iPhone. So I'm going to tell you about my Coursera app. Coursera is a MOOC, which is a massive online open course thing. It can be a website, but often these are courses that are taught by world-class professors from world-class universities. And I take these courses. What's nice is, when is it that you really use your phone apps? It's when you're standing in line. It's when you're waiting for your food at the restaurant, and it's not offensive to whoever's sitting across from you. Whatever. So you're trying to kind of fill your time,
right,
and stop being bored. Well, you can do that with your solitaire game, or you can do that with your Coursera, which would be for me. I'm taking one right now called Designing Cities. These are free courses, and so I can watch the video lectures from my app while I'm waiting for to be next in line or whatever it is I'm doing.
Have you noticed, and this is just an observation away from apps here, but have you noticed that people spend or complain less about standing in lines lately?
Yeah.
And I really believe that is probably one of the most positive phenomena that has come out of people carrying smartphones is that as soon as you're in line, and you just go to the superstore, 90% of the people standing in line are on their cell phones. Mm-hmm. And it's because it's a time for them to catch up with what's going on in the world, and nobody really complains about standing in line anymore because it's kind of crazy how that is. It's not boring.
I look forward to it.
I think some people do actually. Yeah. I really truly believe that I see some people actually go into the longer lines simply because they can catch up a little bit further. It's kind of funny.
So now we need to have like Yelp reviews for like where you can what restaurant you can count on waiting the longest for your food.
That's funny. Yeah. That's great. SoundHound. Do you use SoundHound at all?
No.
Now, there's a couple of these out there, but have you ever heard a song and you're like, what is the name of that song? Or who sings that artist?
Right, and you can identify it. How good is it?
It's unbelievable.
Really?
I have never, ever, the issue that you have is that sometimes if you're in a crowded, restaurant or something like that, it can't pick it up very well. So I'll go up to a speaker sometimes and hold the phone up to it to try to catch the music. But it is very, very good.
Okay, so have you ever tried singing a song into it to see what happens?
It would not recognize what I sing. No, I've not. I've never done that. It's interesting.
So I thought maybe it would just go, yeah, you're just like Dolly Parton. You sound just like her.
We should have Jim do that right now. So hang on, Jim. Hang on. Let's see if it actually recognizes it here.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hang on. It's hopefully we don't run out of time here before I get this thing figured out. Okay. Here you go.
Well, here you go again. You say you want your freedom.
It's still listening.
Oh.
It didn't figure it out.
Well, who am I to say you down?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get it. It says never lose your search history. You have to work on that a little bit, Jim, I think.
Never lose your search history.
Anyway, I don't know why it's coming up with Clint Eastwood for you.
Clint Eastwood.
That's all right. that's a great game to play.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, who do you sound like?
I think he sounded like Clint Eastwood.
That was amazing. So, well, Kat, we are out of time, of course.
It's been a blast.
So it's been a blast. Yeah, I agree. So we'll have to do this again maybe in a couple of weeks or whatever, because I think you and I both have some more apps that we want to catch up with. So, Tim, are we done?
We are done.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you going to sing us out of the track here?
No.
Because I can put Soundhound back on.
No, that's okay.
You sure?
Okay.
You sure? So, all right, everybody, until next week, have a great week.